What's happening, fellas? Have you ever been sitting around at home and then you thought to yourself, damn, I really want a bunch of red circles all over my back so it could look like me and an octopus were getting freaky? Well, the good thing for you is that cupping exists and you can reach those desires, making it look like you and an octopus are having a little bit of extracurricular fun. That's going to be what I'm diving into today. What is cupping? Where does it come from? And does it live up to some of the bold claims that it makes online? Because if you haven't been able to tell, cupping is very popular for some reason. All sorts of people get it done. I'm going to be looking at, is it really worth your money and your time? So, where does cupping originally come from? Cupping is believed to date back to the ancient Egyptians around 1500 BC and was described in one of the oldest medical texts known in history, being the Ebers Papyrus. The Ebers Papyrus contained herbal knowledge and described cupping as being able to treat conditions like fever, pain, vertigo, menstrual imbalances, and appetite issues. The Egyptians introduced cupping to the Greeks, who used cupping as well. Hippocrates, who was a Greek physician and the father of modern medicine, used cupping to treat disease and musculoskeletal problems. The ancient Chinese also made use of cupping, dating back to the early Han Dynasty. An herbalist at the time named Jihong is considered to be the first to use it in China and believed cupping and acupuncture used in tandem can cure one half of the ills when used in combination. So whether or not that's a true story, we'll see. But yeah, cupping in ancient times was deemed to be super beneficial. Chinese cupping was applied initially with the usage of animal horns and was later replaced with bamboo and ceramic cups. This changing in cup style is seen across history. A lot of ancient cultures use horns, anything that can get that good suction, and then they later switched to more ceramics, and then nowadays you have glass. Cupping was also seen in Islam and was called al-hijama, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and the Prophet Muhammad said, indeed the best remedies you have is hijama. So that's some pretty bold words coming from the Prophet. And other famous Islamic physicians described cupping in many literature, which proved its notoriety at the time. Cupping was super popular. Cupping gained popularity in Western areas in the 14th and 17th centuries during the Renaissance era, and it was used to treat things like arthritis and gout. In the 18th century, it was used by European doctors for the common cold and chest infections. However, after the scientific model was established in the 18th century, its popularity decreased a ton. Benefits seem to be kind of less based in science and more based pseudoscience and a lack of knowledge at the time. But cupping has made sort of a renaissance back into the limelight recently when Michael Phelps showed up to the 2016 Olympics with cupping marks all over his back and arms before he absolutely fucking destroyed the competition in Rio. It basically made a whole bunch of people want to go out and get cupping done so they could look like Michael Phelps. To be honest, who wouldn't want to look like Michael Phelps? That guy's a fucking badass. But how is cupping actually done? I bet a bunch of you know, but I'm gonna describe it anyways, because fuck you, that's why. Cupping is done through creating an area of low pressure within a cup, like a ceramic, glass, or other type, which causes the blood under the skin of the cup to be sucked upwards. This low pressure is traditionally created using a flame. So you've probably seen it. Imagine this is their cup. They'll take the flame, stick it on your cup, and then put it on your skin immediately. How that works is the flame heats up the air under the cup. Basically, all the air particles disperse, so then there's less air particles under the cup. So when you put it under here, it creates an area of low pressure within the cup, which causes the blood to be sucked under your skin to the surface of your skin, and it causes the blood to burst through the capillaries in that area, which causes that sort of bruising like area that you see, although it's not actually bruising, it's just the capillaries being bursted and the blood coming to the surface. It's also usually done with a vacuum seal. Cups with a little valve on the top will be stuck to a vacuum. The vacuum will just suck the air out to a desired PSI. But let's be honest, the flame is way fucking cooler. There's also a type of cupping called wet cupping. Get your head out of the gutter. Not that type of wet cupping. It's when they puncture the skin, causes the blood to be drawn out to the surface of the skin. Wet cupping has been kind of shown to be more beneficial than dry cupping in some of the literature I've looked at, but we'll see in a minute because that cupping literature isn't very extensive at all. What are some of the claims that cupping seems to make? As we saw with the ancient practices, cupping was used to cure nearly any superficial issues. So that would have been arthritis, gout, vertigo, pain, fever, menstrual imbalances, weakened appetite, disease, muscle problems in general. It was kind of used as a one-stop shop for nearly anything that was going wrong with you. Today, there are all manner of chiropractors, self-appointed gurus online that say cupping is used for pain relief, musculoskeletal issues, asthma, pain, hypertension, headaches, migraines, carpal tunnel, and inflammation by encouraging blood flow and mitigating pain receptors. A certain unnamed website that I'm going to keep unnamed because I don't want to be a dick claim cupping can help migraines through minimizing pressure in the neck and upper back by promoting increased circulation that helps the body's natural healing process. Pretty bold claim. We'll see later if that would actually be true. And they also claim cupping can help varicose veins, someone tell Nick Walker, reduce inflammation, help injury, and relieve cold symptoms. So from this alone, if you were only going to look at what they have to say, cupping seems to be super beneficial and has a ton of potential benefits. But does it actually meet these claims, and is it really worth your money? The typical means of action for cupping is that you draw blood out to the skin by bursting capillaries. Blood flow is improved, causing a myriad of health benefits. Blood flow is also believed to be increased due to the release of vasodilators called adenosine, noradrenaline, and histamine. The bursting capillaries and increasing blood flow from cupping is something that's said a ton online. But if you think about it physiologically, it doesn't make a whole ton of sense. How does bursting something so small like a capillary in your skin help blood flow to the point of reducing inflammation? To me, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Bursting the capillaries in your skin isn't going to increase blood flow as much as doing something like a sauna where you're going into high heat, which is going to way more increase vasodilation due to like a sweat response in your body trying to cool itself down. So if you're really trying to get better blood flow to areas of your skin, I would say doing something like exercise or a sauna where your body's going to get that natural heat response and increase vasodilation. That would be a lot better way of going about that. And if you really just want to manage inflammation, then doing something like a cold pack or something to reduce the blood flow to the area would also be very beneficial. But when we're looking at the pain modulation that cupping is associated with, there are four main theories that are associated with it, and four main theories that can kind of explain why. These are just theories. These are not actually like fully fleshed out true yet. There's still a lot of question marks on them. But the first is going to be the pain gate theory. The pain gate theory was formulated by a neurobiologist in 1965 and suggests the existence of a quote-unquote gate that allows or blocks pain signals to the brain located on the spinal cord inside of the dorsal horn on your spinal cord. So if you have a bird's eye view of your spinal cord right here, you have your dorsal horn in a cavity of the spinal cord. Cupping stimulates the mechanoreceptors, which transmits that feeling of the actual cupping to your brain. And this essentially inhibits whatever signals the nociceptors or pain receptors are also feeling in that same spot. So let's say you have a ton of chronic pain in your back. Doing cupping on your back is going to inhibit the pain receptors in that area from being sent through the spinal cord into the brain. This kind of ties into, there's a really good video on it. I'll link it in the description down below that explains it a whole lot better than I do. It kind of ties into the second theory, which is called the diffuse noxious inhibitory controls theory. This basically says that pain in one part of the body can hide pain in another part of the body. So similar to the pain gate theory, cupping can kind of hide the pain that you're feeling in another part of the body by inducing kind of a more pain response in that part where the cupping is going on. If you, let's say you like get a scab on your knee, it's like rubbing that scab on your knee I'm rubbing the scab, not doing anything else here. So if you're like rubbing the scab on your knee, it makes the pain go away. But next off, we go into a little more of a pseudoscience theory here, which is the reflex zone theory. The reflex zone theory is a belief that the body has 10 vertical zones, and they correspond to certain organs and muscles in parts of the body. The theory comes from an English neurologist named Sir Henry Head, who discovered in the 1800s that diseased organs are linked to certain points on the skin. I say discovered very lightly because this is kind of more of a pseudoscience type thing. I'm not saying pseudoscience as in it's bad, but yeah, it's not fully based in science. You've probably seen diagrams of the feet. I'll put a diagram up here where different parts of the foot are colored and shaped differently and point to a different part of the body that correspond with them. So like your fucking big toe might correspond with your ears or something like that. From what I've seen, foot reflexology can shockingly help a lot of people and be beneficial, with one review suggesting these healthcare models can be part of somebody's lives and give them more of a solid, comprehensive, and healthy, sustainable life value. Cupping's relation to reflexology is somewhat limited unless cupping is done like on the feet. So all I can say really about this one is maybe, I don't know. Finally, we have the release of nitric acid theory. This basically suggests that cupping therapy stimulates the increased production of nitric oxide, which increases vasodilation. This makes sense because increased blood flow from cupping increases the release of nitric oxide. That's just how it works. A number of studies have examined if cupping works and if cupping is actually, if there's studies to prove if cupping works with random control, placebo controlled, double-blind studies. But really, there are some issues with that. A 2011 study found that there's some suggestive evidence for the effectiveness of cupping in the management of pain conditions. The major issue when it comes to running studies on cupping is determining effectiveness without a placebo is very difficult. Controlling placebo when you have something like cupping is very, very difficult. When you're typically doing the effectiveness of something like a drug or a pill, it's very easy to just give someone like a saline solution pill that looks the exact same. No one can know if they're actually taking the placebo or if it's actually the real thing. But with cupping, you could imagine that creating a placebo for cupping is just nearly impossible. It's really impossible to make it unknown to someone if they're having cupping done. You're having cupping done or you're not. It's really impossible. And the placebo effect can be extremely strong. Somebody can have cupping done and act like they're Superman after, and it's just a placebo effect all along. You see it a ton of times with people having 0% alcohol and then acting like they're wasted. Is cupping 100% worth it and definitely going to help all your chronic pain? Probably not. I would say that's probably just not true. Is cupping not worth it at all and no one should do it ever? Also, probably not. Really, it lies somewhere in the middle. Cupping can work, but it also can be pretty useless. Cupping has a mountain of pseudoscience behind it in all kinds of nonsense that makes it sound very believable. I don't think cupping really is worth your money though. At the end of the day, I think there's a lot of other forms of therapy that could be a lot more beneficial. Something like a massage or like stretching, something like that, I feel like is going to help your musculoskeletal issues so much more than cupping will. And when you really think about it, throwing some suction cups on someone and charging them $50 for an hour session is super easy. And you can see why a lot of people would want to make it sound like God's gift of therapy, so then they can just charge people for it and make an easy buck. If you want to go do it, I can't stop you. I'm just a skeptic over here anyway. If you like cupping and you get it done all the time, let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the video and future video ideas, and I'll see y'all next time.